Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 700 Club. Congress is targeting high-profile names with subpoenas in the Jeffrey Epstein case, among them Bill and Hillary Clinton.
That's right. And now the White House is considering releasing Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell's recent interview with the Justice Department. CBN's Brody Carter has more.
House Oversight Chair James Comer launching a new phase in the Epstein investigation. The subpoenas include more than a dozen influential figures, including former President and First Lady Bill and Hillary Clinton, former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller, as well as Trump's own former attorneys general Bill Barr and Jeff Sessions. It's part of a bipartisan call for transparency into the investigation of Epstein's activities and his clients.
The American people have a right to know who else was involved, whether the system really was rigged in favor of the rich and powerful.
Representative Comer also sent a subpoena to Attorney General Pam Bondi for the unredacted files related to the Epstein case by August 19th, saying, quote, "It's imperative that Congress conduct oversight of the federal government's enforcement of sex trafficking laws generally, and specifically its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell."
The Trump administration is reportedly considering releasing the full transcript of a DOJ interview between Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who previously served as the president's personal attorney.
Sources say Maxwell told Blanche that President Trump did nothing in her presence to cause concern. Days after that interview, Maxwell, who's serving 20 years for sex trafficking, was moved from a federal prison to a minimum security Texas camp. President Trump told reporters he was not aware of the move.
Two questions for you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is?
It's not a very uncommon thing.
For CBN News, I'm Brody Carter.
All right, Brody, thanks. Now, CBN News Chief Political Analyst David Brody joins us for more. Let's talk about the two big names on the subpoena list. What does the committee hope to learn by questioning Bill and Hillary Clinton?
Well, let's start with the basic facts. I mean, Bill Clinton has admitted to going on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 4 times that we know of, so they're going to want some more information about that. As for Hillary Clinton, a little bit more unclear. We don't have any reports of her going on the plane, but then again, being married to Bill Clinton, we would think, have some information to offer in terms of the nature of the relationship. We just don't know much about Hillary Clinton. I will say this, Andrew, what's interesting is at this point, it's going to be a legal fight. Will Bill Clinton even show up for this deposition, for this subpoena? Because the problem here is that there's never been a former president in U.S. history that showed up for a deposition or subpoena. They tried to do this in 1953 with Harry Truman in the Un-American Activities Committee. They tried it again. The January 6th committee tried it with President Trump in 2022, both times not happening. It'd be interesting to see how much Bill Clinton complies here. Then again, Democrats have said, we want all the facts. Well, here's the Democrats' opportunity, right? If that's what they say, one of the top Democrats ever to live in modern day history is right there to give a lot of details. We'll see if he does it.
Well, as mentioned, shortly after Ghislaine Maxwell met with the Justice Department, she's moved to a minimum security prison. How reliable is her testimony?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. We don't know. But I'll tell you what, I'm not the brightest bulb in the shack, as they say, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, met with Todd Blanche at the DOJ, Assistant Attorney General, and then all of a sudden you're going to a minimum security prison. So she's clearly saying something, Andrew. I mean, I'm just putting 2 and 2 together, just like any ordinary American out there. You're not saying anything and then getting moved to a minimum security prison. So there's something in there. I think the real question is what exactly? And part of the problem here is that this Trump administration has just not been out there with any sort of press conferences from Pam Bondi, from folks at the DOJ. And so you wonder if we're really going to get those answers quickly. And you would think the Republican Party would want to get these answers out quickly to make this go away.
Something fascinating going on in Texas. Let's go there now. The governor trying to compel Democrat lawmakers who have fled the state to return for the vote on redistricting. Give us the wide view on what's happening and how it affects midterm elections.
Well, a lot of people hear redistricting and go, womp, womp. Okay, let me move on. I can't, the brain power, I don't want to deal with all that. I got other things to do. Here's why it's important. it very well could affect the midterm elections and who controls the House and Senate in going forward after 2026. You know, there's so much to unpack here, but basically Republicans in the Texas House believe they can get 5 more seats by basically redistricting in the middle of a census decade. Remember, the census is taken every 10 years, so typically that's when redistricting is done. This is about halfway through, and that's why it's controversial that Republicans are doing something that typically isn't done. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Wait a minute. Democrats have done this too. Look at Illinois is a great example, but there's other states as well, North Carolina, Virginia. But specifically, Illinois has done this quite often. So this idea that Republicans are playing politics, yeah, sure they are, but so have Democrats in the past. But we will see, because the retaliation factor here is going to be key. If Texas decides to move 5 of those districts into more Republican-friendly territory, California then is going to decide, they hope, to change the rules there in California by a special election. Gavin Newsom would have to call a special election to get the rules changed on redistricting, and then Democrats would have possibly 6 new seats for Democrats in California. This thing is tit for tat, and it's going to go on for a while.
All right, David, thanks so much. Always appreciate you joining us.
You bet. Thanks, Andrew.
Elsewhere, the videos of starving Israeli hostages in Gaza triggered an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council last night. Members heard from the brother of one of the hostages in the video. Meanwhile, the president is considering taking over humanitarian aid operations in Gaza. CBN's Paul Petit has this update from Jerusalem.
Horrifying new images of Israeli hostages forced Israel to call an emergency United Nations meeting in New York Tuesday. Members heard from the brother of Evitar David, who says he is digging his own grave.
The time for deliberation has run out. Their lives depend on immediate action. Evitar Guy, and the very least 18 other hostages are still alive. After 660 days, they have somehow managed to survive. And we call on you to rescue them from Hamas dungeons underground.
Israel's foreign affairs minister calls the images satanic.
The world saw their terrible condition, bones standing out in their skin, like living skeletons. Evitar was forced to dig his own grave. This is satanic.
Sahar accuses France, the UK, and other countries of sabotaging a ceasefire by recognizing a Palestinian state.
They gave Hamas free gifts and an incentive to continue this war. They directly assassinated the hostage deal and ceasefire. Let me be clear, these countries prolonged the war.
The need for humanitarian aid remains a flashpoint. On CBN News' Faith Nation program, the Red Cross's Fabrizio Carboni said it can't act without a ceasefire.
Our visit and our support will be possible only if there is an agreement, because today Gaza is a battlefield, and we cannot just knock at a door, go into a tunnel. I mean, this would expose the life of the hostages, will expose our lives, and it's simply not realistic.
Following a briefing from U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff, President Trump says a U.S.-led aid effort is on the table.
And I know Israel's going to help us with that in terms of distribution and also money. We also have the Arab states are going to help us with that in terms of the money and possibly distribution. So that's what I'm focused on.
After visiting the West Bank town of Shiloh in the Judea-Samaria region, House Speaker Mike Johnson met with Netanyahu and went to the Western Wall with Arkansas Governor Sarah Sanders. In his speech, Johnson said, quote, "Every corner of this land is important to us. Being here, in the place where our faith began, this has great significance. The Bible teaches that Judea and Samaria were promised to the Jewish people, and they belong to you by right. The world may not see it that way, but we do." In Jerusalem, Paul Petit, CBN News.
Creeping up on 670 days, those people have been held hostage, we presume, all in those tunnels. At least 18 still alive, it is thought. And, of course, this is the leverage Hamas has. This is their negotiating power and tactic, and they will continue to hold. We'll see how the Red Cross responds to the criticisms they are under. And of course, France and the UK have given Hamas additional leverage with their recent decisions. We'll keep you updated.